All my hot girls yelling. Bring them out, bring them out. All the dope boys yelling. Bring them out, bring them out. Front the back, they yelling. Bring them out, bring them out. Get with other rap niggas.
Thomas, back, my friend. Game changers. Look what the cat dragged in.
What's going on?
Mr. Butler, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Our youngest child.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Youngest
That's
research
true.
team member.
Yes.
That's correct.
So what's going on today? What do we got game changer wise?
So today we have a cool segment, volatility hedging. So basically it looks at, if you long a VIX future, is there any way you can use the other volatility products, in this case UVXY, to hedge your position?
Okay.
Very nice.
What do you think? What do you think?
Going into it, I was a little skeptical, but there's something here. Definitely interesting.
So we've been in I don't really remember the end of 2006, early 2007. I kind of remember the summer of 2007 because we were scrambling because vol was just, it was absolutely brutal. But I remember vol trading under $10, but I don't remember but I actually don't remember the kind of positions we had on because there wasn't UVXY. There wasn't really VIX futures. At least we didn't support them at that time. And there wasn't VXX, or at least we weren't trading any of those. So essentially, last time vol traded under $10, all you could trade was the VIX.
Correct.
And at that time, puts were zero.
Right.
So when the VIX was trading at 10, the 10 puts were 10 cents. The market was 5 cents, 10 cents. The
Thousands up.
The 9 puts were zero. They were no bid at 5 cents. So just think about this. Last time the VIX got under 10, the 9 puts were zero. There was no bid, and the 10 puts, I believe they were at 10 cents. Even with the VIX under $10.
Right.
So all you could do basically was pay up significantly for call spreads, and nobody did it. There wasn't really a lot to do. It wasn't like now. We weren't stuck with bad VIX positions back then because there was no products to trade. Right. The products came afterwards. So let's take a look and see kind of how much things have changed it's almost been 7 years. So we're going to call this a volatility hedge by KM.
Correct.
All right. So given that we've been in a low volatility environment for several years, it is possible, or actually, we've really been in a low volatility environment since the highs of 2000 and since the highs in volatility at the end of 2008. We've essentially been contracting volatility. We've had a couple of blips over the last 5 or 6 years, but that's it, just a couple blips. We've had a couple of moves into the 40s. We've had a few moves into the 30s, a couple of moves into the 20s.
Very short-lived, right?
Short-lived, and short-lived. But this is a good 5-6 year run for volatility. Okay. So given that we've been in a low volatility environment for several years, is it possible to use other volatility products such as UVXY to hedge or otherwise enhance a long VIX future position? We already know that based on our conversations with TP last time he was out here, that these products are built around front and near term, the first 2 months basically of the futures. So why wouldn't it work?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a question of what the ratio would be. Is really what it comes down to.
If the price of UVXY is based on 2 months or the average of 2 months worth of futures, of course, the hedge is going to work as long as you can figure out exactly what should the pair be. What's the correlation?
Right, because it's consistently rolling, right?
Yeah. So, Chris, here we have
12.15. The VIX was at 10.10.
Okay.
06.
06. So, futures trading strategy. Buy one front month VIX future when the VIX is trading under 15.
Correct.
Hold, roll, and sell the future when the VIX trades above 18.
So if you have to roll, then you will do the rolling process. So it's not every time you're going to buy the VIX future at 15 in the same cycle it's going to hit 18.
That's
There's
correct.
a cost of carry there that could hurt you.
Right. So the setup has occurred 5 times since 2012. It's not much.
Right.
You sell 5 at the money UVXY calls. I chose a 5 lot because I worked out that a 1 beta between UVXY and the spot VIX and a beta of 1.2 between UVXY and /VX. This really surprised me since I expected it to be closer to 2 to 1. And I wanted to underhedge, so I sold 5 calls. Actually, when you think about the VIX and VXX, you think about that as 10 to 1. So it makes sense here that this would be 5 to 1. I mean, if you'd said to me, what's your guess, I would have said 5 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. But if VXX is 10 to 1 and VIX is 10 to 1, then UVXY should be 5 to 1.
Sure.
And if it's off a little bit, it's off a little bit. But you're always going to underhedge, that, just like you said. So the VIX futures hedging strategies.
This is the second strategy.
So
the first one is short at the money calls. The second one is 5 put ratio spreads, selling them.
So a put ratio spread is to buy the at the money put and you sell twice as many of the out of the money puts. This could rarely be done for, well, it depends on the strikes you use.
Correct.
But depending on the strikes, this could either be rarely done for credit, done for credit. For ratio spreads, I want it to be naked short the same number of units, so I also used a 5 lot. So that means 5 by 10.
Mm-hmm.
So you're naked short, the 5 lot.
5
now,
puts.
how is selling a put ratio spread? Or maybe we'll learn this in a couple seconds. But selling a put ratio spread is a long VIX position, isn't it? If they're long some deltas out of that.
So you're buying the at the money put, selling twice as many out of the money puts.
Yep.
So there is a bit. There's the sweet spot is
But are you
on
long
the
a
downside.
future here too?
Yeah. So these two strategies, right when you buy the future, you either sell 5 at the money calls in UVXY or you do the ratio spreads.
Okay, but the ratio spread is essentially, isn't that kind of another long?
So the ratio spread, correct. It can hurt you if there's too much of a volatility slide, whereas the UVXY calls will just be, you have no risk of the downside in UVXY.
I mean, if you're doing the VIX ratio spread for even small credit or small debit and the VIX goes higher, who cares? Mm-hmm. The ratio spread just goes to 0. It doesn't mean anything, right?
Correct.
So I'm not sure how that's a, but we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. So here, first let's do this.
So these are just the 5 trades. Long /VX, roll it if you have to, sell it when it hits 18. So you can see at trade 3, you bought it when it was at 15, you sold it when it was at 18, but you lost $3,000 because of the cost of carry and basically just the cost of carry. So you were holding
cost
it for
of
a while.
carry being the every month, the month roll.
Yeah.
Okay. So net, this P&L is still pretty good. I mean, it's about, what, 1,700-ish or so, 1,800-ish?
Yeah, we have a summary on the last slide that shows
Okay.
the P&L for each strategy.
So, and this is the long VIX with the short call,
Correct.
which means this is long VIX selling the call against it. And as you can see, the numbers are much stronger.
Correct. So you buy the VIX future, and then you sell 5 at the money UVXY calls closest to 45 days to expiration. So if you have to hold the VIX future past expiration on the short calls, you would close. So you take the short calls to expiration in UVXY, and then if you still have the future, you sell another 5, and you hold that until you close VX.
Got it. And you only close VX unless it trades over 18.
Correct.
Got it. Well, these numbers are 100 times stronger. So that's the case right here, that this is
Much smoother P&L.
Yeah. And then let's go to this one, which is the long VIX and the short put ratio. Now, I'm surprised at these numbers. This is why would the number 5 and the number 2 be so much bigger than just buying the future outright?
So I believe for these put ratios, you hit kind of like the sweet spot, and then as you rolled to the next expiration, the next put ratio basically went out worthless. So you kind of lucked out by hitting on the UVXY put ratio spread, and then you went to the next expiration, and then you hit on the future.
I got it, because these numbers are actually pretty good. These numbers are as strong as any other totals, which surprises me because I wouldn't think the put ratio spread in long VIX is that good a position, but it must be better than I thought. I mean, at least in these 5 scenarios.
So here's the summary. So we have just the future. You made $2,400 if you bought the future and sold the calls, and you kept selling calls in the expirations if you had to roll the VIX future, $6,800, and then VIX plus the put ratio, $5,000.
So I have to tell you, this is a big difference buying the VIX and selling the short call. Is the short call the nearest out of the money strike? What is it?
It's the at the money.
The at the money.
It's taking advantage of the premium, right? I mean, that's really what it's coming down to.
I know, but it's a big difference than buying the long VIX.
Yeah.
Just outright. See, I haven't been selling UVXY calls against my long VIX, and now I got to think about it. because now it makes total sense. I probably won't do the put ratio spread, only because I'm not sure how that helps me to the upside, even though the numbers seem to work right here. But obviously this guy did his homework, and the numbers seem to work.
Correct.
On the put ratio spread versus the long VIX, I'm surprised, but they work really good. The long VIX and the short call makes absolutely the most sense to me.
Sure, logically too, right?
Yeah, because the UVXY calls are super rich. Like if you put up UVXY right now on the screen, Tony, just quickly put up UVXY, and you're going to see those calls are, and this is with volatility getting crushed right now.
Right.
But if you go to the July calls, you're talking what, the 28s?
250, 260 in premium.
So if you would have bought the VIX future when it most recently hit 15,
It's a 10% move, yeah.
so you lost, I think, probably $2,500 on the June contract, and then you paid 80 cents to $1 for the roll, and now we're down
hold on,
another.
let's see. If you bought it when it hit 15, right?
I think it was early May.
Right. So you're down 250 plus 80 cents on the roll. You're down 330.
Correct.
Okay.
But if you sold, I actually went back. I don't have the exact P&L, but if you went back and you sold the UVXY calls at the money in June, which is closest to 45 days, you made about $2,200 on those. So it definitely absorbed some of the loss. And it kind of goes back to, I remember you had a confirm and send where a viewer said, so the VIX futures are at 15, we're at record lows right now. It seems like a no-brainer trade. But obviously, in the past month or so, we've just been sliding straight down.
Got it. So in this case here, if you're talking VIX trading, VIX trading under 15, that was a couple months ago. But anyway, the numbers must work out.
They most certainly do work.
I'm really surprised that we have never sold UVXY calls against the VIX futures, because it makes total sense.
100% agree. I don't think, and thank you to MK. It was MK, right? Thank you to
KM.
What is it?
KM.
Thank you to KM for doing this, because we never took the time again to figure out what the ratio should be to do something like this, because
we knew the ratio. Come on.
I know, but this is logical. We should be doing it. We always look at it as a stock substitution, but you always should be enhancing your stock substitution.
I always look at it as as kind of a short future. So I've looked at the VIX futures as equal to kind of one S&P future. So if that's the case, you could really, what we're really saying is, you could sell 5 UVXY calls against one S&P future too.
Sure. You're just making the logic chain.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Thank
Can
you,
you go
sir.
back to the setup one more time? I'm getting people on the emails and not understanding the setup for the whole thing.
What do you want? This?
One more, I think. Correct.
This is the put ratio side. You want the call side?
Yeah, call side.
So here's the setup. So for both of the hedging strategies, right when you buy the VIX future, you either sell 5 at the money UVXY calls, or you sell 5 at the money, or you sell the put ratio spread.
Right.
So right when you put the VIX future on, you put the hedge on as well.
Yeah.
As long as you have the VIX future, you keep rolling the hedge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could do this morning, first thing, just to show how it works. But basically, you're talking about for every one lot, you do 5 UVXY called. I mean, that's it. Mm-hmm. And if you get a volatility explosion, you're slightly underhedged. That's all it is. If you get a volatility explosion, you just have a covered call on, and you make it 10%.
Correct.
So the most you can make in 1 month is just over 10%, based on current prices.
And it's important to actually sell the VIX future and get out of the position before it gets too high, because if the futures backwardate, so the front month is cheaper, the front month is more expensive than the back month, correct? So if that happens, then UVXY will actually outperform the futures, which could be, then you'll basically be, it won't be as much of a hedge.
Yeah, that hasn't happened since 2008. Mm-hmm. But if it does, you're right. You'll have to get out of that. I don't think that's the risk right away.
If you get out at 18,
we'll deal with that problem when we have.
You get out at 18, you're right. If you get out at 18, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole key is he's kind of right. Get out at 18, you're done.
He's kind of right. Support your members. He's right. Period.
Okay. Yeah, Chris, you're right.
Thank you.
We'll be back in 90 seconds. We got the opening bell next. Listen to Taste Trade Live.
Shit. Talk about shooting out, now we're doing the shit. Put my Mac down.